From the Arcade Couch, the best place to chill with your friends. Get your gaming goodness each and every Monday. My name's Owen Blind. Joining me on the couch this week, Ashley Hobley.
Hey John, I'm excited to be here, but let me tell you, the post-PAX hangover, it's rough.
How much home drinking you doing over there?
Not enough to make the pain go away.
Fucking hell. Also here, Ciaran Marchant.
It was really weird last night when I was like half asleep at 3 a.m. and Ashley was like trying to get into my room. Like he kept trying to put a card in my door. First problem, my door doesn't have
Ciaran,
a card
that wasn't me.
reader.
Someone was trying to break into your house.
Oh.
Why do you have a card reader?
With Shepperton.
Well, I don't. There was just somebody trying to put a card in the door.
Yeah, that is definitely a drunk person. That's not Ashley. He lives in Brisbane. Probably couldn't get into Shepperton right now.
No.
Hey, Shepperton's no longer in lockdown. We're fine.
Could he fly into Melbourne though?
No.
Yeah.
He can smuggle himself in. Ashley's got his ways.
Yeah. Today on the show, there's actually a whole bunch of news to go over. So we'll be talking about the recently announced GTA Trilogy thing, the Twitch hack, of course, Australian Game Developer Awards got announced, the Resident Evil movie trailers out, bunch of Nintendo news, including, of course, the most recent reveal of the last Smash Bros. Fighter, impressions on Battlefield 2042 beta, Far Cry 6, Back 4 Blood, and a bunch of other stuff. But firstly, let's get PAX PSA out of the way. So if you caught this, we didn't announce it last week because we wasn't sure of the exact details at the time. So it didn't really, unfortunately, advertise it because I wasn't sure what to tell you. So hopefully you saw it on our socials. If not, here's what happened. PAX and Audio Technica teamed up and they put out a PAX Radio Discord channel, because PAX is basically all run through Discord and Twitch this year. The combination between the two. That's how it's happening, kind of like they did last year. And they had a channel dedicated up in there where a bunch of Australian podcasters got invited to record podcasts like we usually would at the Audio Technica booth at PAX, which we did years ago for several years in a row when we actually went to PAX, when that was a thing. So we recorded an episode of Arcade Couch. It was on at 3 o'clock Friday, I think? Yeah? Something like that.
Yeah, 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock on for a high
3 o'clock Australian Eastern Daylight Time.
That's the one. It would have been 2 o'clock for Ash then.
Yep.
And if you caught it, it's the three of us talking about our his podcast history, I guess is what, I can't remember what I exactly titled it as, something like that. Because coming up early next year will be 5 years of podcasting between us all here at Explosion Network. So kind of did that a little bit early because it just made sense for a good sort of evergreen podcast topic for that. So and a good place to fit that in as a bonus episode. But if you missed it, I think maybe they're going to make them available somewhere, somehow, and repeat. I'm not sure what the details is, so maybe keep your eye out for that. But also, we had to sort of fit within a 60-minute time frame. But when we recorded for about 90 to 100 minutes total. So I had to edit out 30, 40 minutes of stuff we talked about, including a couple of people's questions, answers to stuff. I had to shorten some answers to stuff. But we will be putting out, because it's the hot topic word for this year, and all things video games, look forward to the director's cut of that PAX Radio podcast later this year. I'll put that out. So keep your eyes. If you missed it or you want to catch the full one, that will go up on the Arcade Couch feed a little bit later this year is when I'll be putting that one out.
Yeah. Just like these director's cut that gets announced, no release date initially.
No release date, no. And even if I know a rough idea of when I could tell you it's coming out, I'm not telling you, because that's how you do release dates. You gotta announce something, you gotta tease it, and then you gotta do another
and then
announcement.
We do a trailer.
No. Then we announce a date for it, but then we have to release a yellow background piece of writing delaying it to the actual date that it comes out.
Which we could do, but I don't want to. So that's the thing. That's PAX. I hope if you've been partaking and watching PAX stuff and the the PAX Radio, if you caught that stuff. I hope you've all enjoyed that, because obviously that's finished up now, because this is coming out Monday. But yeah, I've had Twitch open in the background today. Had the radio thing open.
Oh yeah, Dylan, didn't you appear on another show during that?
I was
PAX
also
Radio
on
thing?
Radio Watson. Yes, which I presume, I don't know what Buddy's plans are, so I'm not sure how to advertise that. I presume Buddy's going to post that episode on the podcast feed.
Just tweet at Buddy Watson 12.
Did you have to think about
where's
what?
the episode?
And it was me, Brendan White from the Hungry Gamers, and Ryan Betson from Pop Culturist, and of course Buddy from Radio Watson. Was talking about what we miss from PAX. That's what that one is. So two sort of PAX evergreeny things I was on. So look forward to those. All right, let's get into the main topic for the week, which is just going to be my overall impressions plus an excuse to show the video viewers Switch OLED. Because the Switch OLED has come out. Now I'm going to reach to the side where you may have noticed it's sitting just out of frame. Video viewers.
Just out of frame. Big reveal, drum roll.
And you may have noticed it was sitting very nicely thanks to the awesome new stand on the back of this. And it is a good stand. I'll tell you what, it is not this flimsy plastic shit anymore. This bad boy can stand up all on its own two legs. Got rid of the training wheels and all. So this isn't going to be too long because I haven't had time to put too much into it. I've probably played around with a few things. I probably put 90 minutes to 2 hours, I guess, today over it. I put some time into Metroid Dread, and then I've jumped into a couple other games just to have a bit of a look-see of how they looked. And I had to like re-download all this shit anyways. You know, that was the first.
Yeah, here's my question before. How difficult was it getting your stuff across?
So I kept my old Switch. I was initially going to trade it in.
I'm sure that would help.
Yes, that does help. So initially I was going to trade it in, but then I'm like, I want to be able to actually compare it myself directly. And if I get rid of it, I won't be able to do that. So I was like, nah, fuck it. I'm gonna keep it, and I'll just probably sell that one off or trade it back
like
in
boot up
after
Pokemon Unite on both at the same time.
Could do it I could boot up whatever I want, I guess. But yeah, I think I'll probably still trade it in because I don't really need to. It's not like it's a Switch Lite or something where it's like, oh, maybe I could keep that, but there's not really a reason that both. But the transfer process was you open the user profile thing on one, you go users profile, something like that. And then you click like transfer, and then on the other system you click target, and then it swaps stuff. Now, what it doesn't do, it still makes you re-download all the games. It just like it transfers all your system settings and profile, and makes you the.
Did you transfer your Animal Crossing save?
Nah. So, no. Probably not going to play that shit again, anyway. To be honest, when the fuck am I going to go have time for Animal Crossing? Tell me that. Not gonna
Any day now, they're going to drop a massive content drop.
They do them all the time at the moment. I just don't jump back in.
No, like one you need to. It'd be like Christmas Wonderland.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know if I could still boot it up. Maybe. I don't know if I fucked myself now. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. That was the one thing. So Animal Crossing's still bullshit. So you have to download an app for that you have to download a literal Animal Crossing save transfer app through the store to be able to transfer that. You can't just back up your save file. Whereas the rest of your save files for Nintendo, you can just do cloud backup, and then it automatically syncs those saves on the new system. Like I haven't had to manually go save file download. It's already just pulled them all for me, knowing that it's the fresh system. So that's been good. But of course, the main thing, for people who don't know, I guess, rundown of what the difference is with the new Switch. The screen is a lot bigger. It is noticeably bigger, especially. I don't know if I can sort of. If that
for audio listeners, he's holding up.
I'm holding up both Switches for the camera.
Consoles.
Maybe it's hard to tell.
There is not as much of a bevel on the newer model. Whereas
I think it's like
bevel-less.
I think it's like 0.7 inches or something around that difference, which is like it's nearly a full inch, which is quite a lot for a small like handheld. Like
that extra inch really helps.
It does. That's what the ladies say. They You left it wide open. But yeah, so the screen's obviously quite bigger, and then the main thing is that it is an OLED display now, and that is very noticeable. The OLED is, and there's still a bunch of stuff I want to jump into to have a big difference at. But I mean, if you've ever seen an OLED TV before, if you've ever used the Vita, like if you've ever gamed on something with an OLED display, it is sort of night and day. OLED is very pretty. So in something, for example, if we're talking about Metroid Dread, which is the thing I've played the most of, it is like a side-scrolling game, 2.5D or whatever at times, or mostly a side-scrolling game. And you may be like, well, how much difference could that make? But there are times where it's very dark, and Samus has this like glow on her like chest armor or whatever, and that really stands out like a lot more noticeable. It's like the slightest color details that you can notice, not to mention just how much better overall the background, foreground images appear as like in these sequences when Samus is sort of running across the screen. So the screen looks really good. I mean, even when you boot up the system for the first time and you just sort of see the Nintendo logo and everything pop up, even then my brain goes, oh, this looks so much like brighter and more vibrant than what I'm used to on the current Nintendo Switch screen. So I was Googling the other day to see if anyone had put together an article from the people who got early access. And a couple of websites had, like here are the games that we think look the best on the OLED screen. And one that came up in a lot of lists was Luigi's Mansion. I was like, oh yes, I need to give that a go. Because they were pointing out how there's lots of like, dark sequences in that where you're running around and Luigi's just using his flashlight and how much better that looks in comparison to the base model. So that's definitely something I want to jump on to go back to. Might be an excuse for me to go back and actually finish Luigi's Mansion. So other thing is, I will say, even though I've jumped back into just using headphones, the audio, which was one of the other points where the speakers are so much better. They are noticeably better, but they're not like, it's still just a handheld system speaker. Like it definitely sounds, what's the word? Tinny.
Crisper.
The tinner.
Crisper,
less
clearer.
tinny is what I was going to, like, it doesn't sound, like it's coming out of a cheap sort of, it doesn't sound as cheap as the base system is, but it still is definitely a handheld. And I put the Bluetooth headphones in now because that's a thing we can do now. So, and that you definitely get a much better audio that way. I think the other thing that's I've noticed is, the Joy-Cons seem to fit, like they feel firmer. They lock in firmer on the side than the base unit, where that has that slight little bit of wobble or wiggle to them. And that's even with like the ones on my old Switch, these purple and orange one. They're the newer ones. Like I only got those under 12 months ago, and they still do it. So it's never been about, oh yes, Joy-Cons are fucked. It's just the actual Switch system. They don't seem to hold them too well. And then the other thing I was pointing out at the start, of course, the stand. No joke. This is like, it's hard to say when you're looking at it, but this has a lot of, like, this will stand up very well now. And to some people, that's like, who cares? But to people who do like to travel and use that stand to prop it up and play, especially with a Pro Controller or something like that, that is a huge feature.
Now you feel like going on rooftops and playing
with friends. Yeah,
during a thunderstorm. Yeah.
I mean, maybe. Gotta do what you gotta do, you know what I'm saying?
Gamers got a game. It's raining.
Gamers do have to game. I think that's about it. I mean, it is for me, I'm very happy with my purchase because it's exactly what I wanted out of it. I think from everything I jumped into Cuphead, looks really, really good, bright colors, stuff like that. I even jumped in to booted up the SNES or the online library thing or whatever, and jumped into like Donkey Kong Country and that. Even stuff like that. Anything with like color. Like it comes down less to, it doesn't need HD graphics. It's just even the older games, if it has vibrant colors and whatever else, you're going to sort of get effect out of it. So it's good how well upgrading to an OLED is for Nintendo, because their art style in all their games just sort of means that they'll get a lot of use out of upgrading to the OLED display. And I would say also from all the just general online reaction and reviews, I don't know if anyone else was like seen anyone else's or listened to anyone else's thoughts and stuff. I know a lot of people who were like, like surely it can't look that much better. And I've seen a lot of people be like, you know what? now that I've played one, had it in my hands, it really is undoubted. You can't deny how much better this thing looks than the base model. So there's a lot of like, naysayers or iffy people out there who are now like, I've used one and I can't go back. Like, it is also in a weird position now where I'm probably less likely to want to play my Switch docked anymore, simply because the problem with playing the Switch docked, if you have a 4K TV, especially a bigger TV, is it often sort of just because it stretches that, it makes it sort of look worse.
It just doesn't look quite right. Like,
No.
It just looks a bit off.
Yeah, but I would still do it because, like, I didn't love playing my Switch handheld because I always felt like it was just, the screen was like that tiny bit too small or something. Whereas now, I honestly feel like this feels like the perfect size now. And because it's an OLED screen, I'm like, why would I not play most things that maybe there's a rare occasion where I want to play it on my TV, but now I'm like, it's just a handheld again. Like, I'm just back to the Switch being a handheld instead of playing it docked. Oh, dock. So, dock.
Oh, dock looks nice and white. Looks nice.
It does look very nice and white. There are some slight changes that are worth pointing out. So on the back, it completely comes off now. You don't have to lift the on the original. You could slide it back or whatever. It opened up to let you get the cables in there. Now you can lift it fully off. So if you're someone who fucks around, changes cables a lot, like I used to on sometimes. I used to get really annoyed because it was sort of fiddly. You can pop that full thing off. That's good now. The other thing that's in here, of course, which was one of the other selling points, is you do have an Ethernet port now, so you can plug it directly in. That means online gaming, which is sort of more prevalent now because of games like Pokemon Unite and whatever else Nintendo's pushing. This is going to be big feature set. The console itself also seems to dock in here a lot cleaner and nicer. It honestly sort of looks the same, but it doesn't feel as scary as putting it into the other one. Like, it looks exactly the same, but it just doesn't feel like it just feels like it's slightest difference. I don't know, in like maybe the size or the way it's going in or something. Like, it seems to click into place a lot nicer, especially if I go and I put it next to the original dock and I'm clicking them both in and out and going, well, this one seems a lot better. And then the other thing that's quite interesting, and I didn't put it in the show notes as like a news story because I just thought I'd just chuck it out there as a random thing, which was, there was a story going around, because I did mention this when we talked about the OLED when it was announced. You can update the dock now. So even if you look on your current Switch model, your current one, not an OLED one, it will say update dock in options now under the latest firmware, but it will say like new Switch only or OLED model dock or whatever, something like that. And there was a story going around this week where people are saying that, because the hardware's out there now and people are digging into it and, cracking it and doing all the shit that they do. People are saying that there is the potential now for the OLED to be, the dock at least, be updated in the future to enable for better hardware specifications potentially or something like that. So that's certainly something the last dock didn't do. You never had an option to update it. It was a very sort of cheap plasticky thing that sort of just did the job of HDMIing out from the console. It felt like plastic too. The new one feels premium. It doesn't feel cheap plastic. It looks a lot nicer, especially in the white, which I'm quite happy I got the white one. I'm very pleased with it. I think it looks good. But yeah, holding it in your hand, which is something you just can't, I can't really tell you exactly how that feels through audio, but it does feel less like, as Ciaran would say, Fisherware plastic shit, which was the Wii U.
Fisher Price plastic, yeah exactly. Yeah.
Which is how the dock's maybe not quite as bad as the Wii U, but the dock does certainly have that plasticky, weightless feel to it. The new dock does have a little bit more weight to it, and it just looks a lot more premium. That's the Nintendo Switch OLED. And I might as well get out of the way here and said we've got some stuff to talk about a little bit later game-wise, but just since I'm here, Metroid Dread, quick sort of impressions of that I've played so far. So I've beat the first boss and got to like the second area or whatever. It's very good. So I've never actually beat any of the 2D Metroid games. I've dabbled in a bunch of them, like through backward hardware or whatever you want to call it. Never beat any of them. So I'm not like, I wouldn't say I'm like a hardcore Metroid fan who's beat all the games. I played the Prime games when through, but people argue that they're not actually anywhere near as good and whatever else, but neither here nor there. I played a lot of Metroidvanias though, so I still feel like I've technically, like I understand how a Metroid game works, because I've played all the games that's that's been inspired by it. It's fun. It's very good. It's literally your sort of typical, going forward, getting an ability, backtracking, using that new ability to go for a door that you couldn't be able to open before. And when the Emmy, I think they're called Emmys, E.M.Is or whatever, the robots that are stalking this facility where Samus is now sort of crashed underground, they are sort of scary they're not the whole game. So I don't know if when they announced it and they're like, you're getting chased, it's called Dread, it's a fucking horror game, these things are chasing you. They are only in specific areas and they won't leave their specific areas. And you'll know when you enter one of the areas they're in because you pass through a certain door. Like you'll be like, that's a door to an area that an Emmy is guarding. And you may have to, in a certain level, like I just beat the first section or whatever, I often had to go backwards and forwards through that area to do different objectives as I was getting things and whatever. And the thing, it'll grab onto your scent pretty much straight away and you'll hear it stalking after you. You can't really hide from it or do anything. You can't fight it, you run from it. You sort of, if you're really fast, once it grabs you, you have like maybe I've never managed to do it once yet so far, but apparently you can, if you have perfect timing, counter it and get like sort of a escape. Otherwise it just insta kills you. There's nothing you can do about it. You can, however, kill them eventually. So it seems, from what I take it, because there's going to be one in each area of the game, from what I understand, you do eventually get like a power up for Samus's like blaster, which gives you like one shot, to go and kill the thing and wipe it out for that area or whatever, which obviously feels good because you're like, I've been running backwards and forwards in this thing for an hour now and you finally get to blow its fucking head off and you're like, fuck off, dude. Hate you. Yeah, it's really good. It's a really good combination of exploration. It's really fast paced. It looks really good. It runs at a high frame rate, so it feels really nice to play. There's like this cool thing where you can like sort of counter and then shoot, which I really appreciate. So if an enemy, like a bat or whatever, or some of even the bigger things, I'll do like a flash, like they're about to hit you. And if you perfectly time Samus to like slash back, it'll perform like a parry, but then she insta aims where they are and you can press fire straight away and she'll shoot them or begin shooting right where they are. So it's very fast paced when you're like running backwards and forwards on what you're doing. The first boss fight was really cool. You're like sliding under it and doing like a slow motion thing and like shooting off these weak points on it and all this. Like it's very action paced. But I'm enjoying it a lot, keen to finish it. The only thing I worry about at the moment is getting distracted by something else that I have to review or whatever, and then forgetting where the fuck I am and not doing it. But
how much running away from things have you had to do so far?
Only the Emmy. That's the only thing you have to run away from. So, which the other enemies you can kill. Why?
No, because obviously they're showing that trailer, so I meant so much running away from stuff. So,
well, I think there's like 8 in the game. So, I mean, you are running away. Like, I spent a fair bit of time running away, but I would say majority game you're not running. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's not actually a horror game or anything where it's not Resident Evil 2 where you're being stalked across a police facility or something like that. And even then, the area where the Emmy's stalking, most of the time you know what you've got to do, or like say it's like you've got to activate a switch, so you sort of have to like loop around the area to purposely draw it away to the top, and then quickly try and jump back down so you can like pull the switch without it getting to you. But you always know what you're trying to do, and then even if it catches you, you'll respawn like right across the door from where you entered anyway. Like it's not, oh no, now I have to redo all this shit. So no, it's fine. All right, let's get into two reviews. So I'll have one review out, and then there's one review Will done this week as well. So my review is for Rainbow Billy the Curse of the Leviathan. I'm not sure what score I'm giving it because I only wrote a review right before this and I haven't scored it yet, but probably around a 6.5 to a 7. I'm leaning more towards a 6.5. But so this is a 2.5D game that's very heavily inspired by like Paper Mario, very obviously. And then also, I guess if you haven't played that, there's got like elements of Undertale to it, I guess, with the system. So it's a game in which you play as Billy. Happy things are happening. The world's great. And then you have at the start of the game, it's all rainbows. And at the start of the game, this you have a fireworks festival or something. And then you awaken this Leviathan under the sea, and it comes up.
Oh no!
Yep. And it's.
I hate it when that happens.
I do hate when that happens also. And then it sucks up all the color from the world. And Billy escapes, and then the Leviathan puts all the color of the world into 3 crystals or whatever, and the aim of the game is then obviously you got to save the world, you got to get back these 3 crystals to put the color back into the world, because not only
Epic Mickey.
Not only has the color disappeared, but also it's drained the color from the people, which now has made everyone like depressed, basically.
Damn.
Yep. And I don't even mean like as a joke, I mean like literally everyone's now depressed. That's sort of the main crux of the game. You escape with one thing called I can't remember its actual name, Rodrio or something. It's a rod that you use to hit people with and to like traverse with. It becomes a grapple hook later in the game and stuff. And then you also have your boat, which you travel on around the world, which is called Friendship. Friendship, the boat. So the basic...
I see what they've done there.
Yeah. The gameplay is literally sort of like slight platforming, some puzzles and areas, but mainly it's about this quote-unquote combat, which they call confrontations. So you'll come across someone and they'll be like, oh, they're like causing so much darkness in the area and they're in. They're just like, I'm so fat. I hate, like, this is literally one person who has like a fear. They're like, I hate my body and all this sort of stuff. Another one will be like, it doesn't get like too deep. No one's like, I want to fucking kill myself or something, you know, like, whoa. Let's fucking, well, it's more like, oh, I think all my friends hate me, or why doesn't anyone want to talk to me, or people don't think I can play this music instrument well. It's like all sort of like this sort of stuff. There's other things. So you'll talk to them and you'll enter this confrontation, where you then have to sort of use the other friends that you've got, because once you beat the confrontation, you will get them to sort of join you and they'll come on your friendship and they'll start living on the friendship throughout the rest of this journey. And so you can listen to them, and then by listening to them, you've got to sort of pick the right conversation choice of 3 things to say to them. Although it's very easy to not even listen and just pick the right one, because if there's one option that says, imagine it says stop being a little bitch, you probably don't click that one. And if there's another one that says, it's okay, I understand your struggle, it's probably that one that you're supposed to be clicking on. Yeah. So often you don't really need to listen to what they're saying. You can sort of just guess it. But you click that, and then above them, they'll have like a bunch of question marks, and then they'll turn over if you say the right thing. You can try and guess them even if you get the conversation wrong, but they'll turn over and it'll reveal like a star or a diamond, or like there's all these symbols. And then the friends that you have, which are like monsters you cast in battle, I guess, they have associated symbols to them. So you got to cast the right ones to match the symbols on the person you're quote unquote battling. And then once you do that, you then do these little short mini games for each of the quote unquote attacks, which range from things as simple as just pressing a couple button inputs in the right as they cross across like the line, you know, like a little mini game thing. Or there's another one where it's just like, you got to keep a little Billy symbol away from like spinning saws for like 10 seconds. Like there's a whole bunch of real quick like 10-second or less mini games to activate these attacks. And if you do them right, then you'll cast your 2 lightnings or whatever. And then once you've filled out all their symbols, the darkness is cleared from them, and they'll be like, I'm so sorry, I understand, I see the light now. And they'll come join your ship, and then you can cast them in continuing battles. So the game obviously starts where you only have one person to do, and it's very simple. Once you get to the last sort of third of the game, where you have like 50, close to fucking 50 of these your friends on this boat, and you've got so many, and the game sort of rotates them from a deck of cards. It's like chips, but it's like a deck, I guess, or whatever. So they're like randomly dealt to you. It's like, oh, there's so much. And some of the boss battles, I'll have like 20 question mark icons, and you'll have like 7, you'll be drawing like 7 friends a turn, and each of them you've leveled up and they've got 3 symbols. It's like, oh, there's so many fucking symbols on the screen. The combat system, once again, quotation marks, the combat system, because you're not actually fighting. I like the idea. I just feel like it, so this took me surprisingly, because I did play this last year for preview, and I wrote a preview for it from last year's Steam Next Fest or whatever. Based off that preview, I would never have guessed this game would take me 12 hours to beat. It was quite long.
Damn.
Yeah. For what I expected. I really thought it would not have been that long, but that's how long it ended up being. But the main thing that sort of holds it back is it just drags, by the end of it, and you're like, I'm over it. Like, more towards the end, I'm just sort of, the combat's like, there's no new mechanics ever introduced. Like, it's just more. It's like the enemies are big. It's the equivalent of going enemy bigger health bar and not like different mechanic. It's just, all right, well, I'm just still doing the same thing, but it's just taking me a little while longer to get through it. And then some of the exploration and stuff, like, it just goes a bit tedious. I feel like if they'd shortened the game even around to like that 6 to 8 hour mark, it would have been a lot more successful. Also, the Ultra Go happy stuff does grow a little, like that gets a little bit annoying. I understand that's the thing for the game, you know, everything's happy. Billy's this happy-go-lucky person, and whatever else is like, all things are grand in the world, rainbows and unicorns save the world. But it does get to a degree where you're like, this is a little bit too much, especially whenever Rodrigo, or whatever the rod's name is, gets a new ability throughout the game. You have to watch these little cinematics where they literally like sparkly eye at one another, and then like using their hands, because the rod has a hand, they do like a little heart together, like they like come together and they do like a little heart symbol because they're friendship and all this sort of stuff. So yeah. And then the other thing that sort of also worth pointing out, I had a fair few bugs. None that like completely fucked me over, but several that meant I had to completely close the game out and reopen it to get them to fix. So including the last boss battle where I could only see my character and everything else was black, and that was fun. 2 times where the X wasn't working in battles, so I couldn't select anything. Like, I could click circle to go back, the D-pad would work or whatever, but X just wasn't selecting the creatures to cast. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I had to quit out. That happened twice. And there was something else that happened. I can't remember, but it's in my review. I listed all of them. So those were a couple annoyances. So yeah. Anyway, I think it's all right. I think it definitely could have been better as a little bit of a tighter experience without the bugs as well, is the other thing. And then the only other review we have up this week is Will James, shout outs to having a nice easy name I can pronounce, had a poster review for,
I think it's Wild Jameis.
Yeah, Wild. Imagine if I fucked with that.
Willy Jamin.
That's very easy. The Last Friend review he wrote up, so he gave it a 7. His review ends so this is like it's a combination tower defense game with the fuck do you call it? Like a brawler? Yeah. It's a brawler / tower defense, which is a weird combination of things, but there you go. He said, Last Friend is a solid casual experience featuring a fun, if cheesy, story and characters. The blending of brawling and tower defense is quite cohesive and is the main reason to pick up the game, with plenty of opportunities for experimentation through the dozens of dogs to be saved. Yes, you can pat all of the dogs. So, 10 out of 10 in my opinion. I only got the score wrong. I should have just changed it. You can pat all the dogs.
Should have.
10 out of 10.
Editor note.
Editor note. We changed the score to a 10 from...
Because dogs.
Yeah. Maybe. Should have just done it. So check out his review. Check out my review for Rainbow Billy. explosionover.com. You find those in the show notes as well, of course. Let's get into this week's news. Start with the AGDAs. Say it too fast, it becomes a blur. Australian Game Developer Awards. So these were on, I can't remember what night, to be honest. They were on earlier in the week.
Wednesday,
there you go.
Wednesday?
So, overall, walking away with the Game of the Year award was Unpacking, which is not out.
It's not out.
It's not out yet. I do feel like it's worth pointing out. I don't fully understand,
I don't understand the rules.
I don't fully understand the rules. It's their show.
Listen, a movie needs to come out before it's eligible for the Oscars, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, it is.
The game needs to come out before it's eligible for the Game Awards.
I believe it's voted for, I believe they've played it. Like, it had to be playable for the people, and it's voted on by...
I think the judges need to be able to play it.
Yeah, the judges could play it. So they've played it to vote it Game of the Year. And it is out in a couple weeks. So we're not talking about something that's not done.
Undated.
Yeah, they would have sent them just... So, yeah. But I do feel like, because I've seen a few comments. Hey.
But still, it's
game's not out.
Okay. How are the people supposed to judge for themselves?
Yeah, I don't know. But that's Witchbeam, of course, developer. It's funny, this game's... if you don't know what Unpacking is, I think I've wrote 2 previews for the site over the years, one from PAX and then one from...
Pretty sure you said you played it at the last PAX we attended.
Yeah, I did play it at last PAX. I think I wrote something for it then, and then I wrote something last year when it was on the Steam Next Fest. And then I think by the time this is out, I'll have a quick, another quick article where someone from which beam, I can't remember who, sorry. Oh, fuck, hold on.
Art director, Ren Beer.
Answered a couple questions. There you go, thank you. So I should have that out as well. But yeah, I'm keen. Obviously, Unpacking, if you don't know, is the marketing as a Zen puzzler, because it is, so they can own it. It is a game in which you literally are taking items out of boxes and then placing them onto shelves. So it's a puzzle game. You have some leeway. You can't put everything on the bed and be like, that's how I want it, next level, please. You do have to like make it make some sort of sense, but you have leeway in sort of where some items go, I guess. And the one thing I think I pointed out last year when I talked about it compared to the year prior or whatever, I guess, at PAX, was that they added sort of a bit more character to it. So now you're playing as the same character for different points of their life, and how even unpacking their stuff, you can sort of get a sense for the character. And that was something that really stood out last time I played it. So been keen for this game for a couple of years now. So good job Unpacking Witchbeam. I think they're Brisbane, maybe. Or no, they're Victorian, maybe.
I think Victorian.
Yeah, damn. I thought I was going to give you one, Ash, but no, left out there.
Nope, Witchbeam based in Brisbane.
There you go. I got it right.
Suck it.
I thought I got it right. So there you go. You can claim a win there. So running through some of the awards, Studio of the Year went to Black Lab Games. Excellent in the arts went to The Artful Escape, Behavior and Dinosaur. Excellence in gameplay went to Webbed, Spug Games. Excellent in narrative went to The Forgotten City, Modern Storyteller. Excellence in audio went to Artful Escape. Excellence in accessibility went to Unpacking. Excellence in mobile games went to Oregon Trail, Game Loft Brisbane. Excellence in serious games went to Sharmilla, Chaos Theory Games and World Food Program. Excellence in ongoing games went to Pico Tanks by Panda Arcade, and excellence in emerging games went to Video World, Things for Human. And also shout out to the show, which was absolute insanity, to be completely honest. So, yeah, I mean, how much you were watching somewhat, because we finished recording a podcast, Ash, and then yeah, and then I had it open, and I think you had it open there for a bit. What did you think of the show? It was Twitch shenanigans, you know, pre-recorded bits. They call back Saw a lot, you know. Oh, I should have said Amanda and Angrad. Is that how you say Angrad? Yeah. With hosts. So, and they were having a fucking
good time.
Very good time. It was one per.
I'm sure it would have been more smooth if it was one they could do in person, but you know. Well,
it was one person in front of a camera, another person green screening in from somewhere else, and then the person controlling the entire show, we found out later, was in a hospital bed because they just had some operation for something, and they were running it from their laptop.
Listen, Dylan, the show must go on.
So
that's the most important thing.
But either way, it was quite funny.
Why do we even do award shows in person anymore if we can do this from a hospital bed? You know.
My favorite part though was that I did write up my news story here. There was a riff on Bo Burnham's Inside at some point during the Excellence in Audio bit. That was quite funny. So, yeah, that was well worth. So there you go. Australian Game Developer Awards. Talking about Twitch stuff. Twitch fucked us all this week. So
well, I don't know if Twitch did. Whoever hacked Twitch did.
That's true. So a massive.
Don't victim blame, Dylan.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
is all I'm saying.
Twitch source code, streamer earnings information, and more leaked. So VG247 writes, Twitch has become the victim of an anonymous hacker who claims to have obtained a wealth of data about the streaming platform, including source code, Twitch's mobile, desktop, and console clients, passwords, streamer payout information, and much more. The leak originated on 4chan, where the user responsible for posting it noted their intention in uploading this information was to disrupt the online video streaming space, citing Twitch's toxic community as a motivating factor. So after the fact, they spent some time like doing it, whatever, and then Twitch did come out. VG247 followed up later and said Twitch has announced that it has reset stream keys for all streamers on the platform. The company notified streamers via email and revealed more about the move on its blog. According to Twitch, the resetting of stream keys was done, quote, out of an abundance of caution. This follows Twitch's statement earlier this week after it kicked off an investigation into a massive data breach. Apparently, a setup error is how hackers were able to access Twitch servers. Twitch said it should all be business as usual for streamers using Twitch Studio, Streamlabs, and those streaming from PlayStation, Xbox, and Twitch's mobile app. This is also true for OBS users, though those who have not connected their Twitch accounts to OBS may need to enter new stream keys manually. And then I reset the password for the Ian account and my personal account, so I went ahead and did that.
Let's
anyway.
go.
Suckers.
I was like, you better do it, you know, better her. But,
yeah.
But so the thing I wanted to talk about, or just get your opinion on, because like, I'm pretty sure it's pretty cut and dry of don't hack companies, those people are terrible, blah, 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 you know, like, I think that's pretty cut and dry. But the thing I've found most interesting is the sharing of the top streamer payouts. So, which is something that when that was going around originally and people were like tweeting about it, I'm like, I'm not going to look that shit up. I don't really care. That's their business. I was going to take a stand. Of course, it gets retweeted onto my timeline anyway, like after the fact. It was just going around everywhere. So I've had like the main image or whatever come across my feed now, and I've like seen the top fucking, 10 or whatever posted across my feed several times by a couple people at this point. So couldn't escape it. But I found the conversation sort of interesting because like the number one person was Critical Role or whatever. And there was like a weird thing of people going, it's fucked how much money they're making, blah, 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 blah. I'm like,
they've just started their own fucking charity, people.
It's just so.
I mean, they were always doing a lot of
like they were always doing charity work, but yeah, no.
And then the other person that I found quite interesting, who's already sort of going through this stuff anyway, which was Hassan, I guess.
Yeah.
There was always this thing like a couple months ago because he bought a house, and then people were always giving him shit for having money then. But he plays into it, and he's been playing into it since then, on his Twitter account anyway, ever since buying that house, where he's like, I wasn't hiding it. Like, I bought a house. Good-o. Like, even though this is leaked, he's like, I make money. I'm still advocating for the government to tax me more. Like, you know, like it's people don't really, I just find it quite interesting. But in general, what are your thoughts on just people's interest, I guess, in how much people make and the general reaction to this compared to say like, because I just find it weird where, like people are like, oh, these people get made too much money. I'm like, Robert Downey Jr. gets paid like, you know, $50 billion to do Endgame,
to do one
movie. And everyone's like, he deserves it. He deserves that much money or whatever.
Where these people are doing like kind of, you know, consistent streaming of 8 hours a day, fucking at least like sometimes a lot more than that.
Yeah. It's just a weird thing to start judging how people make money. I mean, some of the people on this list, I'm like, I don't think they're good people, but I'm not like, I still don't care really how much money they make.
No, stop giving them money. Like, they've had enough.
Like, you know, like I'm not the biggest. I wouldn't say I'm an XQC fan, but I'm still like I don't really give a fuck. Like just because I don't personally like him doesn't mean I'm suddenly like invested in this is bullshit. How much money he make? You know what I mean? I just find it. Yeah. Ciaran, what are your thoughts on this whole Twitch thing?
I think this is super interesting for a number of reasons. As a whole, I think it's not good and shouldn't be done, and this is bad. At the same time, it's opened some really interesting conversations. I think the first thing is actually most of this information was already available. Majority of streamers nowadays have their sub counts put onto their Twitch streams, and it's a kind of well common known that if you just times that number by 2.5, that is the payout that they get from Twitch, generally. And if you kind of go through it and compare it to the numbers that are on the leaks, the math checks out and the math makes sense. I think one of the most interesting things is it opens up and shows different Twitch contracts for different streamers. Twitch, for its partners, kind of have, depending on the size of your channel and kind of what you're doing on Twitch, they give you a bigger percentage of the subscription cut compared to others. So this information coming out there actually shows who's got the bigger cut, and it kind of it gives some support to the Twitch streamers that are just about to go into contract negotiations with Twitch for their up-and-coming partnerships to kind of get a fairer deal for them, because it wasn't something really well known. I think it's promoted more streamers kind of getting out there and talking about how much money they're making. To put this into perspective for everybody, this money is just subscriptions and the money they're getting from Twitch. This doesn't include any sponsorship deals they're getting. This doesn't include any other ventures that they're taking.
Donations.
This doesn't include any of that. This is when a lot of the bigger Twitch streamers have come out and said that stuff is like 30% of what they're making, which is obscene when some of them are in like the millions or for a single month are in like 6 digits, and they're like, that's 30% of what they make. One of the fascinating ones is earlier this year, Ludwig, who I will admit I watch a lot of his streams, throughout his subathon where he streamed 24-day one, whatever the fuck it was. Yeah, it was it was ridiculous. Straight, and even slept on stream and everything. He actually, towards the end of that, he actually did a breakdown of the money that it would, like how much he made, where the money was going, what was taxed, what was kind of paying to his moderators and everything. So I think there are Twitch streamers already out there that are very open with how much money they're making. There is a conversation around the pay difference in female streamers to male streamers at the moment coming from it, because that is fairly obvious and quite
or just
apparent.
The fact I've seen people like lots of funny tweets where they're like, oh yeah, all the titty streamers are taking away all the viewers from all the males. No, it's like fucking
no. It's like Amaranth is probably the largest one of those types of streamers.
It's one person.
I don't think she was. I think she was top 25, but I don't think she was anywhere near the top 10.
Yeah.
It's and I guess, look, Hassan, sadly, for those who don't know, Hassan is a very vocal socialist within the American political scene, in terms of he does a lot of representation on like Fox News.
You may be surprised to learn I watch Hassan.
Okay, interesting.
This is a revelation.
Makes so much sense.
Yeah.
He does a lot of content surrounded by that, and so a lot of he's taken majority of the brunt of the force behind this overall, because of his positions that I think a lot of right-wing members of the public, not even outside of the Twitch stratosphere, have used this information to try and rally against him and rally against socialism and say, look, he's a socialist, shouldn't he be spreading out this money a lot more? And it's like, that's not socialism.
Yeah, we know the big difference is that XQC gets on stream and goes, I'm fucking did it, and then Hassan gets on stream and goes, socialism. Everyone goes, fuck you. Like XQC just sort of like never, because he's just such a XQC gamer dude bro or whatever.
It's what they call a he's on the juice. He's a juicer.
Yeah. By the way, if anyone doesn't get the joke there, that's my XQC joke. That's literally how he sounds most of the time.
That's this. Come, what's going on, dudes? We gotta be going here. We gotta go do this. He does talk very fast.
Yeah, he's fucking going. But Hassan's problem is that because he
gets paid by the word.
Yeah, maybe. Hassan's problem is because he's the one person here who actually like had any sort of political leaning, then he's the automatic target. Everyone else here is just like sort of agnostic.
The only other person,
it's kind of vanilla. Yeah.
The only other person who I saw had any flack was also in top 10 was Saikuno, who, as a streamer, part of his stream character is just like almost a very poor presenting person that lives off frozen meals and is always like, oh, I don't want to spend that money because I've got to save money for my water bill and stuff. And I guess people backlash against that, even though it's just part of content.
So
I think this is
whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It's been like really interesting on multiple points. There's been a lot of good jokes coming out of it, like different streamers not wanting to talk to people that are below them in the ranks, and why is number 23 trying to talk to number 6, and stuff like that, which I find very amusing. I don't think for a lot of streamers it actually matters. They're quite open and quite honest to have their numbers out there. I think the crazy part is, yes, these numbers are big and people are looking at them and looking at the Twitch streamers. The amount of stuff that got leaked for Twitch is fucking insane. Their source code for their website got leaked. the source code for anything they own, including like CurseForge and another app I can't remember off the top of my head, got leaked as well. And this is apparently only part one of the leaks. This comes from the cesspit of the internet known as 4chan. I think this kind of stuff is not cool, not great. I get it if people want to publicize and be not happy with Twitch over different things they've done recently with, not standing up for streamers, getting hate bot abused, or not kind of coming to the party and opening discussions or putting in place a proper format to protect its content creators from DMCA strikes. I get it if people are angry about that, but there is better ways to do it than this. It doesn't only affect Twitch, it doesn't only affect the streamers. These streamers have people working for them. This affects the streamers' families. It affects quite a large format of it that goes just quite beyond just the, yes, it's easy to see these streamers as people who are earning so much money, but at the same time, most of them are putting in really a lot of effort, a lot of their time into making it big, and but they're also, they're paying editors to edit their YouTube videos. Some of them who are higher up are paying their moderators to mod their channels and mod their Discords. And the other thing I think this makes fucking really clear is you have to be really lucky to be big on Twitch. When you look at the money in that report and what is the piece of pie, like the big piece of pie that is the money from Twitch, and just how few Twitch streamers share that piece of pie, it really does express that you either have to get really lucky or work really, really fucking hard to get any sort of success to becoming a Twitch streamer.
Or $1 million, at least a millionaire Twitch streamer. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people in
we got to be famous for.
I'm sure there's people in like the top 200 who, I'm sure there's people below what have leaked who are still making enough money that one person could.
There's still, and like, look, I was reading an article earlier about, one of Overwatch League's biggest kind of professional players and most well-known things is making $600,000 off Twitch. So it's kind of like, so why are you still doing Overwatch League when, the base limit for their contracts is $50,000? It's just one of those things where you see these numbers and it adds a lot of questions to what exactly is the money, like, kind of circumstances around a lot of esports and the video game scene in general.
Ash, do you have any thoughts?
No, I think obviously Ciaran covered a lot of that. I think obviously the other interesting thing is you look at the other end of that, where it's sure all these people got their payout, but then Twitch is getting the other, 50%, something like that.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was thinking. Like,
the amount they're making a lot of money off this.
Yeah, look at all the money that these people are getting, and then just think about how much Twitch is getting. Like, yeah.
And then you also, like, this stuff doesn't cover stuff like, Shroud and Ninja, the amount of money they got paid for doing 10 months on Mixer.
Yeah, I saw someone tweet something like, isn't it shocking how Ninja's not on these lists? I'm like, did we forget he was literally on Mixer for like a year and he got paid like however many $1 million just to go there, let alone how much he was making after he was there?
Paid out to not stay there.
Yeah. So he got paid, like, because for people that don't know, the Ninja and Shroud, when they went to Mixer, when Mixer crumbled, their contracts were still entitled to be paid out full. Not just for the period of time that they worked. It was like a 2 or 3 year contract each. It's like $10 million or something. It's ridiculous what they got out of that deal for 10 months work. I think there's it's very good for them. It's like, it's one of those things you're like, damn, I wish you'd done that. And I'm guessing a lot of streamers wish they'd done the same of, hey, 10 months on a different platform where you're not getting as many viewers, and then you get paid all your money, and then you get to go back to one of the other platforms. It's kind of insane. And I think, we will see an interesting time period now for Twitch where I think Twitch has come complacent in the recent year or so since Mixer crumbled, where they haven't really had any competition. Recently, Tim the Tapman has crossed over to YouTube and become a YouTube.
There's motherfuckers on Facebook
creator.
Gaming still, isn't there? Isn't that a thing? Or did that close?
Yes, the Facebook Gaming. Yeah. Facebook Gaming is probably not as big, but I guess...
does TikTok have gaming creators yet?
No, TikTok does not have gaming creators as far as I know. That's too long for
Wait for it.
It's like, no, just 30-second play sections.
There's live TikTok videos.
Oh.
It pops up. It'll
Why
go,
not?
this person's live. Do you not have TikTok?
No, I don't.
No.
Surprise.
I somehow see all the
old for that
TikToks
shit.
on YouTube.
That's what I thought. I only got it this year, so I kept watching all the fucking videos that people would share on Twitter. I'm like, why don't I just make a fucking account? Watch this stupid.
So hopefully
myself.
this.
It gets filtered. That's why. It's filtered through to Twitter.
Hopefully, this leads to some change in the Twitch system.
Maybe. I'm doubtful, but maybe.
I'm also doubtful. I mean, what else do they really need to do? Obviously, there's like they're one of two, effectively. And like everybody comes to either Twitch or YouTube, so I mean, it's hard for another player to enter that area as Mix approved. So,
yep. All right, let's move on. Twitch we'll see how that goes. Press start right.
Also, go to twitch.tv/Explosion Network. If you've got Amazon Prime, you've got a free Twitch subscription, which you can give to us.
We stream sometimes.
Thank you. We stream sometimes.
Since you said that, shout outs. We thanks to everyone who supported us on Ko-fi for this year. We now crossed our yearly goal.
Am I getting a new TV?
No, you're not getting a fucking new TV.
It wasn't that. It was not. We weren't aiming that high.
No. We talked about last week. All the money that would.
No, it wasn't within that. It wasn't within that. It was only for that time.
That's a shame.
No, it's out. We did cross our goal for keeping the lights on for another year. So of course we always like to hit the money. So keeping the website isn't coming out of any of our pockets. That's sort of the minimum. So that's always good. So thank you for everyone supporting us on Ko-fi. Again, maybe I'll make an interim goal before next year's one. Because
for a TV for Ashley.
Hopefully, maybe. I don't know. But thank you everyone for supporting. And of course, you can feel free to just always support us on Ko-fi. ExplosionNetwork.com/support. Press Start writes, Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition has been officially announced and is releasing this year. Shannon writes, it's been rumored for months and months, but Rockstar has finally announced that Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition, will be releasing on PS5, PS4, Nintendo Switch, Xbox Series XS, Xbox One, and PC later this year. Don't have a release date yet, but Rockstar said they'll share more information soon. A mobile version of these games will also release in 2022. The collection will include Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, with all three games featuring across-the-board upgrades, including graphical improvements and gameplay enhancements for all three titles, whilst maintaining the look and feel of the originals. Rockstar has, this is another interesting tidbit, Rockstar has also confirmed that the original Trilogy collection will begin to be removed from storefronts starting next week to make way for the definitive editions of each game. It's expected that this collection will release physically and digitally. So I read that as the PS2 ones that you can buy on PlayStation Store currently. They're getting the fuck out of there and whatever.
They're going to be gone.
Also, shout out to the fact that you played us on PC. You have to install their fucking launcher, which I completely forgot was a thing, but I did make an account for when they brought it out last year or whenever. Who's excited for this? Anyone?
Kind of. I'm interested to see how they change these games because they've got to censor some shit in those games because there is some stuff, especially in Grand Theft Auto 3, that probably isn't going to fly.
Hasn't aged well.
Hasn't aged very well.
I reckon they will.
2021.
I don't think they will.
You don't think they will?
No.
Damn, that'll be pretty ballsy. I'm excited overall, though. I think Vice City and San Andreas especially are, two fantastic games. I think one of my, the mind-blowing moments in San Andreas was always the after you kind of finished the first island and you got sent to the countryside, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, we've never really had this kind of environment in a Grand Theft Auto game before. I think it's I think it's going to be good. I'm interested to see how much effort is actually put into these to actually make them the definitive edition.
Ash?
I'm indifferent, I'm sure people are going to like it, but, I love San Andreas back in the day, but I expect it's just going to be like a remaster, like a, they're going to stick the PS3 Grand Theft Auto 5 visuals on top of it, and then that'll be it. Maybe you'll get the PS4, but level of graphics.
I'm of the mind of the graphics is the thing I care least about. So if it is, because the one I would like to play the most is Vice City. Vice City is like still one of those games from my childhood, teen years, whatever you want to call it. Like that is still one of my favorite games I have memories of playing. That is my favorite. The game I always say is my favorite GTA game because it's literally just fucking Scarface, but like in GTA and whatever.
It is 100%.
But the reason I never got super hyped about replaying it when they added it to the store and everything, because I'm like, oh man, that game's going to feel clunky as fuck. Do I really want to play it? So the thing that intrigues me the most is the gameplay enhancements part of the announcement. So if they come out and when we get the official trailer, that'll, I presume showcase the changes. And if they show how much better or how much work they've put into making them feel better, if they've changed if they've updated the shooting and the lock-on mechanics, they've updated the driving, especially in 3, because the driving in 3 fucking sucks ass. It is so stiff. And if it's like, go back and update the driving for fucking 4 while you're at it. Like these are the things that interest me the most. If they're like, oh, the graphics are, we've polished up the pixels. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't really care so much. Like they look like old games because they're old. If they play better and make them playable without feeling like you're literally playing something from 20 years ago, that's the part I'm most intrigued at. So I'm definitely keen to see what it's about, because I wouldn't mind, even if I never finish them all, like I wouldn't, if they could be playable, I wouldn't mind spending an afternoon, jumping around those games and just being like, I forgot. Could be a trip through time. Kotaku writes, Ubisoft announces Ghost Recon Battle Royale in the year of our Lord 2021. Love that headline. Did we think we were finally over Battle Royales? Who wrote this? Ethan. Nope, sorry. Not if Ubisoft has anything to say about it. Today, the French publisher announced that yet another one, this time in the Ghost Recon universe. It's called Ghost Recon Frontlines. In early production at Ubisoft Budapest and a handful of other studios, Ghost Recon Frontlines looks like it has some neat ideas and also like it should have come out 3 years ago. The free-to-play game will feature multiple modes, but the main one will be called Expedition. In it, over 100 players will complete in teams of 3 for intel that is scattered across a sprawling map full of different landmarks and biomes. Sound familiar? Once teams get the information they need, they'll need to call for an extraction, which will alert opponents, resulting in shootouts. Players also get to choose from 1 of 3 classes, Assault, Support, and Scout, each with different strengths, weaknesses, and abilities. Class swapping on the fly will also be a thing. While there's no release date yet, Frontline will have its closed test from October 14th to 21 for PC players in Europe. How do we feel about Ghost Recon being the latest Battle Royale? Ciaran, you love this shit, don't you?
I feel like this should have come out when they were doing Ghost Recon Wildlands and stuff like that. Like, this is, I don't know. Somehow with the Ghost Recon franchise as of late, Ubisoft just always feel like they're behind. They're just behind the 8 ball. They're just so, they're lagging behind. They're almost waiting too reactively and waiting to see what's happening in the scene. And then when, the kind of section is at its peak, they're kind of deciding to start the game then, and then by the time it comes out, it's like, well, it's a bit past when this should have been released. So, look, hopefully it's good, but I don't think it's going to do much in terms of success for Ubisoft or for the Ghost Recon franchise.
No, it definitely sounds like it'll find a niche audience, much in the way I assume Hyperscape has, because that's still ongoing, right?
I don't know.
That hasn't been shut down.
I don't know.
But yeah, man, the Ghost Recon franchise is like at the bottom of the pile over there at Ubisoft, I think.
Right next to Splinter Cell.
I mean, Splinter Cell's lower because at least they make Ghost Recon games.
That's true. All right, let's take a break of movie news and talk about game news and talk about movie game news. That's what I was trying to say. So we talked about some screenshots for this and the poster and whatever else a couple weeks back, but we now have the official trailer for Resident Evil. Welcome to Raccoon City. I'm gonna say it with the deep voice, like it's actually the Resident Evil.
Welcome to Raccoon City.
Welcome to Raccoon City. So this is coming out. I think it's December here.
November 24th.
Oh, there you go. It says there. There you go. So it's coming out this year. It's crazy. Funny how sometimes these trailers drop and it's coming out this year somehow, amongst everything else, COVID. There you go. I didn't like the images when we talked about them. I was very much like, these are very boring. I'm very iffy on this trailer. I think there are times where I'm like, that has potential. Like, that seems like some of the monster designs in particular, like sometimes I'll see like a monster, and there's a lot of like monsters and zombies in this. Like, there seems like too many, to be honest. Like, there's so many different creatures and stuff. But like, there's some stuff where I'm like, that looks pretty cool. And then other stuff I'm like, oh, that looks really rough. That looks like 2005 Resident Evil movie rough we got going over here. The acting at times seems very stiff. The acting at other times seems like sort of fun. Sometimes it seems like this movie's sort of having tongue-in-cheek fun with itself. Other times it's trying to be like super like, and it is R-rated in Australia. Other times it's like, we're a fucking horror movie. Like, fucking let's go, you know? Like, I'm very like tonally confused also. And it also seems to be fitting like the plot of 16 million different Resident Evil games into an origin for the Resident Evil new franchise. So that's the part that confuses me. So if we was doing what do you want to watch, I'd give it 1 up, 1 down in our trailer rating scheme. Ciaran, how do you feel about the trailer for Welcome to Raccoon City?
I feel like, tonally it's all over the place. I'm open to it. It's interesting how much they're trying to cram into a movie, though, considering this is technically kind of not just the plot from Resident Evil 1, but it's also got the plot or the kind of some parts of Resident Evil 2 in it. So I'm interested to see how the script's been put together for this, what changes they make to the Resident Evil lore, and hopefully it is somewhat watchable. I'm not expecting a masterpiece, but I just hope it's something of worth of, because Resident Evil's got some pretty cool lore and is actually a pretty cool story overall.
Ash?
Yeah, it looks like a horror-esque kind of movie. Definitely a departure from like the Mila Jovovich films. So I mean, it's got that going for it. But yeah, it looks like a pretty stock standard kind of horror movie, zombie movie, with characters named after characters people get name recognition from. But yeah,
what are you giving it?
I feel like I've seen Neil McDonough in this kind of role before.
Yeah, he's done it a lot.
Dude.
So.
Yeah.
What are you rating it?
1 up, 1 down.
What do you rate this game?
I've heard the international trailer is better though.
Yeah, I haven't watched that.
Yeah, I'd also go with 1 up, 1 down.
I actually haven't watched the international one, but I did see that tweet going around as well, so maybe I'll do that after. PC Gamer writes Brandy Pitchford is leaving Gearbox Games to focus on Gearbox movies. Is still ahead of Gearbox overall.
Dylan, why you would fuck me on them? This is beyond me. We're both racing to tell the same joke.
Why PC Gamer would fuck you like that? I don't know. Gearbox President CEO Randy Pitchford is stepping back from games to focus on the company's broader efforts to break into film and TV as president of the publisher's new Gearbox Studios subsidiary. Announcing the corporate reshuffle on Twitter, Pitchford explained that veteran Chief Technology Officer Steve Jones will take on his role as president of Gearbox Software. Pitchford ultimately remains as CEO and president of Gearbox as a whole, and notes that he'll continue wearing creative hat, but that he's moving to develop and grow a new film-focused side of the company. That news won't shock anyone who watched Gearbox's E3 show this year, which, while lights on games, featured plenty of Pitchford awkwardly chasing famous actors across the set of the Borderlands movie and failing to score a high five off Kevin Hart. That said, remember that fucking shout outs. That said, Pitchford does appear to only be running studios temporarily. His statement notes that he hopes to get the Transmedia unit to a place where it's largely self-sufficient. At a point, he'll get a new president. We don't currently know what plans Gearbox Studios has for screen and stream beyond the Borderlands movie, which currently has no release date. But should that film be a success, what else should we have adaptations from Gearbox? This article points out Brother in Arms miniseries, Battleborn revived as a Saturday morning cartoon, Duke Nukem Cinematic Universe. Do you really feel like Gearbox...
I mean, those are like the only properties, right?
I was about to say, how many properties does Gearbox have to which point that Randy Pitchford needs to step into like an overseer role of that part of the company?
Look, yeah, Brothers in Arms.
Yep.
Duke Nukem, which I get. Do they technically own the IP? I don't know.
They brought it, right?
They made the last.
I think they brought it.
Yeah, it looks like. And then Borderlands.
Yep.
But then they've obviously made Alien games that own the IP. Homeworld, I can't imagine you'd get too much of a plot-driven story from that.
No.
You know, but the biggest potential IP, Battleborn. That's what the people want to see. You know, it didn't work as a game, but it could potentially work as like a mini series or like a fantasy world show.
Good
Big
one,
blockbuster movie.
Great one.
The original.
You're trying to remember. You're trying to remember what genre Overwatch is, aren't you?
The original hero shooter.
Ciaran, do you have any thoughts?
I think this is somebody's grand Saturday morning cartoon scheme of getting Randy Pitchford out of Gearbox for a while.
Why would you get Randy Pitchford to oversee this when you could get someone who actually has experience in the film and TV industry?
No, but they're getting... The thing is, right, the thing that we don't know, and probably the thing that Gearbox is kicking at themselves for, because PC Gamer has reported it, it's all fake. There's no real studio. It's just,
It's just a plot movie.
They've just made it so that, put the old man out to pasture.
I love to imagine that Randy Pitchford is just like trying to do magic tricks so much to people in the office that everyone has a secret boardroom meeting. It's like, what the fuck can we do about this guy? I'm sick of drawing. I'm sick of drawing a card. I'm so over it.
Yeah. He gets sent to one room and he's got a phone where he's calling just random people. But they're all actors hired by the company.
It's so literally, it's like that scene out of Elf where he's like, you want to go to the mail room? It's the most important place in the company. It's so good.
Now Randy, we have all of these Hollywood stars' mobile numbers, but damn it, when we got them, somebody has smudged the last digit on each one. So you're gonna have to work out and try every digit you can to try and call them to get them onto a movie for us. Do you reckon you can do that for us, Randy? And then we all know what he's gonna say when he finds out that this has all been a ruse to get rid of him.
Oh, this was very clever.
Fuck.
All right, Nintendo time. Swing it back around
Again,
I gave him a break. It's big Nintendo week. I had to break it all up so it wasn't Nintendo turned into fucking House Mario over here. Super Smash Bros. Got their final character announced. Early Wednesday morning, Nintendo Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Director, I don't even know, Mashiro Sakurai. I know how to say Sakurai, but I've never said
Sakurai. Just say Sakurai.
Revealed the final character they'll be entering the fight. It's fucking Sora from Kingdom Hearts, everyone. So I stayed up to watch this. Pretty fucking hype. It was one of those ones where, so obviously, I don't really care about Smash Bros. It's not a game I play. You sometimes you watch these reveals and you're like, oh, that was cool. When Banjo and Kazooie showed up, I was like, oh, that was cool. There's been some cool moments. Cloud, when Sephiroth,
Luigi gets murdered, so they can introduce the characters for Castlevania.
There's been some cool moments.
No, Luigi got murdered by Sephiroth, didn't he?
Straight through with the fucking full ass.
Oh no, that was Mario that got murdered by Sephiroth.
It's on the end of the blade and everything. It was fucked up.
And then the Grim Reaper killed Luigi. That's right.
The Super Smash Bros. Ultimate trailers have been an interesting period in video game history for the last couple of years, and it's finally come to an end. So I was glad I stayed up to see this one happen, because although I'm not going to be like buying the game to play as Sora, it was a pretty hype trailer. When Simple and Clean kicked in the song, everything, as soon as they had the slow motion shot of the Mickey Mouse symbol on the end of the keyblade, I was like, holy shit. Obviously as someone who's a Kingdom Hearts fan, I was like, this is fucking hype as. I was totally into this. I wasn't like hyped as in I want to play this, but hyped as in I appreciate this. And for the people who are Smash Bros. And Kingdom Hearts fans, imagine that would have been, it definitely would have been 100% fully hyped.
They seem to be very happy.
Would have been very happy. And then there was the other thing that was great about this, awesome trailer, great reveal. I watched the full thing through to the end just because I was like, fuck it, I might as well see in case anything like M1 last. There was nothing, but just in case, but also just shout out to all the great Sakurai moments that was during this final presentation. He's awkward.
Give Sakurai his own TV show or something. Disney Plus, get him just to explain. Dude, let him do explaining videos on video game history.
Guys,
but
Disney,
he has to do it in front of a crowd.
Disney were okay with this, but they were not that okay with this. The fact that, yes, the Mickey Mouse
That's the
symbol
only
got in
Disney,
it, but
the only Disney thing that's in.
it's the only Disney reference in it. There is like even like there's the image of Sora, and then there's like the circles behind him of different characters. In the original like image, there is Donald and Goofy. They've been replaced by a little raft and a Palpu fruit.
There's also a part in the trailer. I can't remember who the exact character is, but there's also a part in the cinematic trailer where the dog, I can't remember the fucking character's name.
The Duck Hunt
dog, and then like
and the bird from Duck Hunt
like
well.
run up to Sora, and Sora looks at him like, "Are you Donald and Goofy?" Like it's so purposely. You can tell it's done as that's Nintendo having a laugh, but yeah, it's pretty funny. Honestly, I feel like obviously having the Disney stuff would have like really made this next level if Sora could do like an ultimate finisher and Donald and Goofy jumped out or something like that. But I still think it's very cool that to even get Sora in here as is still very cool. Looks really good. As someone who doesn't really care too much, I know, I've seen some varying opinions about if he'll actually make a good tournament fighter and all this sort of shit. I don't really care about that, obviously, but I'd say based on when Sakurai's explaining how Sora plays and just watching the gameplay, looks to feel exactly like how Sora plays and feels in the games. He explains how Sora is so light. They give an example at one point where he's lighter than Isabelle in the game or some shit like that. Like the character.
Yeah, I saw the meme. Isabelle weighs so much because of all of her sins.
Yeah, all of her sins. But there's a part in the thing where it's like Isabelle's on a lift and Sora, Sora weighs nothing.
It's gonna be a real pain in the ass when Sora magics a roller coaster out of nowhere and starts riding it around the freaking arena. My God, that'll be
wish that was actually in the game, to be honest. But yeah, so that's the final fighter. It's again, none of us played the game, so it's not something we're going to babble on about. But
I will say, justice for fucking Waluigi.
Yes,
the fact that
it's fine.
The fact that Waluigi isn't in that game is kind of insane.
Wow.
Listen, if any other character from Mario was going to be in it should be in Toad.
That's fair, but also, Waluigi, his penis size, but you don't know.
It's
how he fights.
The meme is just too much. I did enjoy seeing all the disappointed people, but Waluigi wasn't the final fight.
Quite funny. The little tidbit I'll say for this as we wrap up, which I did find interesting, which is apparently they did a poll in like 2014 or whatever it was.
Yes, I remember the poll.
Yeah, so when the 3DS Smash was out, they put out a poll, Nintendo did, and these are the things where you're like, do these things even matter? Apparently they do. Like fill out who you would like to see as a Smash Bros character in 2014. The number one result from that poll was Sora from Kingdom Hearts. Sakurai explains in the video that they never released and won't release the full results of the poll because they never wanted to put pressure on other companies, because imagine if they released it like Sora's number one, so then everyone for years would have been like atting Square Enix, atting Disney, like being like, make it happen. So I understand why they didn't do it. It's actually like the right decision for Nintendo as a company, so they don't look like they're sort of like almost opening up to internet bullying for the other companies. But obviously that was the number one pick, and then to then have Sora, the fighter that everyone wanted the most from that poll, finally, after years, I'm sure, of back and forth board meetings and whatever else, like this didn't happen overnight. I'm sure this has been years in the work, probably, to finally have it happen and be the last fighter. I think that's sort of fitting, like we got you the number one fighter that you all asked 4 years ago. So it wasn't like random. Why Sora? Was Sora the person? There is a reason. So Pokemon Legends Arceus, not open world structured, more like Monster Hunter. So Vux writes, while we've found more details about Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, details about Pokemon Legends Arceus have been a little more scarce. It makes sense. It's further away after all. But now in response to some reports that Pokemon Legends Arceus might not be open world and some dissection of map to indicate it might not be, the Pokemon company has sent Kotaku a statement about just how the game will be structured. The quote says, it's going to be more Monster Hunter than, say, Breath of the Wild. In Pokemon Legends Arceus, Jubilee Village will serve as the base for surveying missions. After receiving an assignment on request and preparing for the next excursion, players will set out from the village to study one of the various open areas of the Hisui region. After they finish the survey works, players will need to return once more to prepare for their next task. We look forward to sharing more information soon. I have nothing much to say on this, apart from that is literally how I took it based upon the trailer. And I think I even said that on here when I was talking about it last, because they have in that last trailer, and this is because I'd recently played Monster Hunter, what's the fucking one that
Rise?
Yes, I've been playing Monster Hunter Rise, right? Where watching them explain this game. So Rise, you select the mission, you go to an area, and these areas are pretty big, but they are like smaller, they are sections. It's not open world. There's the hub town, then you go out to an area. But at the start of each of those areas, there's like a vendor where you can buy some stuff, stock up. There's a tent where you can rest and all this sort of stuff. And then the last trailer for this, they're explaining, you go here, here's a person you can buy Pokeballs from. Here's like a tent where you can rest. I remember watching that going like, it looks exactly like Monster Hunter Rise. Like is this not just Monster Hunter? And then the way that I was explaining, like you'll have tasks and go back, I was like, I swear this feels more Monster Hunter. Now they've confirmed it. That's fine. I have no problem with this because this is this is literally how I thought the trailer came across anyway. So I know people are going to get shitty and be like, I thought it was our Breath of the Wild or whatever. Like, it's fine. Well, if it's a good game, it's a good game. Why? I don't know why. Like, you're still going to have these open areas to explore, and each of these open biomes could be fairly big, but it won't technically be this massive open world. So, fucking rip. There you go. Anyone have thoughts on that? I just wanted to put my 2 cents out there.
I guess it's probably a good thing that they have, by spelling it out and being quite obvious with it, they have reined in expectations from it, because saying you're going from Breath of the Wild to a more Monster Hunter style game definitely closes the scope of what to expect from the game itself. Yeah, I think
is it going to help with that though?
People are going to get angry anyway because it's Pokemon.
Yeah, I just feel like it's still reined it in slightly. For like, say, the people like me that aren't going to go nuts for Pokemon that would be expecting a Breath of the Wild game, the fact that it sounds better is I have a much better understanding of what that game is now, and it's not going to be quite as ambitious as I was originally hoping it was or thought it was going to be.
Is anyone else playing this other than me when it comes out?
Most likely.
Probably.
I was intrigued who would say yes, because it's a different Pokemon experience, so sometimes that, like...
It's like...
I wanted to play Sword and Shield, but I just never got around to it. Like, I still look at Sword and Shield every now and then and go, I could probably grab that and play that, but...
No, you couldn't.
I think this is different enough to really give extra reason to jump in and try it.
Yeah, we got long. January. All right, let's talk about what we've been playing. So, firstly, I got to attend the early Battlefield 2042 preview event early in the week, thanks to EA Australia. So, the beta is now out. It's over now, I think, by the time you listen to this on Monday. But they did have, I think they started it on, Thursday, Friday, or whatever, if you pre-ordered. And then from Saturday, Sunday, I think, was open beta or whatever. I got to play it Monday with... it was like press and content creators or whatever on PC. So I was using old mouse and keyboard. Going hard over here. But I had a good time. So I've been keen for Battlefield 2042 since they announced it, because I used to love the Battlefield games, and they announced a new one. It looked pretty fucking sick. So playing it, I got nearly everything I sort of wanted to get out of playing the new Battlefield, I guess, to a degree. So we was playing Conquest on this one map, which I don't have a name in front of me, but I'll look it up after this. They're playing Conquest on the one map. It's very big, 120 players. So you'll have 120 on PC, you'll have 120 players on the newer consoles. PS4 and Xbox only have 60 players each. But it's cool. It's like very big, very wide open, plenty of areas for like different sorts of players and tanks and all the typical Battlefield shenanigans and whatever. But the thing that stood out to me the most, or the key things that are sort of changes for the franchise that stood out the most is, and they are game changers. So if you haven't been keeping up, you can now change your gun's scope. You can now change your gun's like grip and barrel and all that sort of stuff anytime on the go. So on PC, you press T, I think it was, and it just opens up this. On console, you hold L1. So it's dedicated to like a button in which they're like, this is a you need to use this a lot. And the main difference this makes is like if you're playing as assault, you can switch between a close range scope, long range scope. If you're playing as a sniper and you have that as your main weapon, a sniper, you can then switch out from the 6 times I want to shoot someone halfway across the map. You can on the go switch it to something that's more mid range. So if you run into someone, you're not suddenly attempting to quick scope them while zoomed into their fucking eyeball or something like that, you know? Like, it gives you a lot more versatility. You can also put in silencers and stuff like that. You can take them on and off. It gives you more range to update how you're playing and adapt to where you're at on the go, which is really cool and really interesting. The other thing that's sort of, I guess some people hate it. I guess I can understand, like hardcore Battlefield fans who love, like, you play a class, you have a job, like you're a medic, you have certain things, perks, abilities, you do your job, you know? I get it to a degree. Not so much a thing in this game. So you can play, they've got characters, they all have names. These are the classes. So you can pick one of those people. Each of them has like a special ability. However, you can then pick and choose what loadout they have. It doesn't really matter. So say you pick like the medic character that was available in the beta, which I think there's going to be like double the amount of characters that were available during the beta, but you pick that person and say their special thing you can't change is that they have access to a pistol they can pull out that shoots syringes. So you can shoot your teammates to heal them. And it heals really fast. So, hey?
It's Ana from Overwatch.
Well, I guess. Well, I don't know who that is, but let's say yes. But yeah, so that's like their special ability. But you can still play as, and of course they'll be equipped with like the med bag drop and that sort of stuff because they're the medic from classic Battlefield stuff. However, you could pick the sniper class and then you could still equip that character with the med bag. You could change up their recommended like C4 to a fucking grenade. You can change all that. The only thing you can't change is the passive or the key ability. So like the assault class, for instance, it recommends a loadout of like a fucking AK and grenade and something like that, whatever. But their special ability, the assault class or this particular person, is they have a grappling gun. So you can grapple to rooftops, you can pull yourself forward, grapple. It has like a cooldown timer, of course, but that's their thing. But you can still use that assault class with the grapple to get to rooftops faster, but you could equip them with a sniper. You know, so you have the ability to change up and do whatever you want to do amongst all that. That's it. It does really change if you're used to playing these sorts of games where you sort of feel stuck in a role. It does sort of change things up quite a lot. Other than that, it's sort of just key Battlefield stuff where, you know, it is insanity at times. There's fucking jets flying overhead, battling, helicopters shoot you out of nowhere. There's tanks coming in, you know, like it is typical Battlefield massive map, open warfare sort of stuff, which is really fun and really good. The key thing in this particular map was that there's a rocket at one end of the map, and that like slowly over time does build up to where it'll launch. I found out in the Q&A event after the fact that you don't actually need to do anything to get the rocket to launch. It's funny because I targeted the SEO out of the fuck of this. Like I put an article I made for this. I'm like, how do you launch the rocket? And as soon as the open beta went live or whatever, it's like I saw that article get a bunch of hits. I was like, I knew people would be Googling this. But the rocket, you don't have to do anything. Like it slowly just launches. But there is the developers playing the QA after that. There is a period where it's launching where players can shoot it and actually blow it up. Or you can wait for it to launch. And if you're down below it when it launches, like it happened to me once, it's like just fucking smoke everywhere and whatever else. Like it's a cool environmental thing. Like everyone just stopped to watch. It was like the whole thing where it was like, it almost felt like me and someone else on the opposite team just stopped. We were aiming at each other and it was like, oh, right, we should be shooting each other, you know, it's like sort of like shock and awe sort of moment. The one thing I was disappointed I didn't get to see during the whole time I played it, and I played this for 3 hours straight, right? And I feel like this number should be higher. So no Cyclone came through. So that's the other thing with Battlefield 2042 is, of course, if you've seen any of the trailers, the big marketing ploy is weather conditions. Like if certain maps are going to have certain things. So on this one, a cyclone can come through. They've also shown off on the other maps where you can have a sandstorm come through and like whip up fucking tanks and shit and, you know, all this sort of stuff. That's like one of the key features for the game in the game's marketing. Didn't happen to me once in any of my games on 3 hours. In the Q&A event after with DICE, they explained that on the current build we was playing as, it was set to like 10% or something like that was the chance of you having this happen. In my opinion, it should be then raised, because if I'm playing it for 3 hours and it doesn't happen to me once, I think it's too low. I think I should have had it at least happen to me once in that 3 hours. And I was kind of disappointed I didn't get to see it during that time, because obviously that was one of the things I was looking forward to most. But otherwise, I mean, it's Battlefield. It looks really good. Looks really pretty. The foliage is very nice to look at. And I did play. Since after I played a couple hours with Buddy on PlayStation as well. It still looks good. It looks honestly looked about the same graphic wise. I mean, it's running at 60. It's running like whatever else. Like it all looks. We're at that stage of the new console life cycle where, you know, it's sort of lining up for PC games before PC games go back to getting like super far ahead of it or whatever in a couple of years from now. But at the moment, lined up quite well. So I was impressed. Do you have any care for Battlefield, Ciaran? Or?
I think it's interesting. It's interesting to see. There's been a lot of discussion that I've read so far about this beta with there being kind of a decent amount of things people don't like, or things that have changed that maybe the Battlefield hardcore players are kind of quite against. One of the interesting things to note is that apparently this build of the game is a month old already.
Yeah.
So, you know, that a lot can change in a month. I think a lot of the stuff that people are complaining about or might have an issue with, such things as not being able to open up a map.
So the map didn't open. They did in our Q&A after the fact. Someone asked about that, and they said that you will be able to open the map in the full game. It's just it's just for this. So yeah.
Oh, you can. Okay,
you can. Yeah. That was a question that was answered. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think a lot of the stuff that people are having problems with can be fixed and can be paid attention to. This game isn't out until November, so it's still got at least another month to launch. So look, there's plenty for them to fix and take a look at in the coming times. So, hopefully a lot of the things that have been applied to. I know some of the stuff on PC, like it's a little bit unstable still, but that's something to expect from a beta of a PC game, is especially if it's just not optimized that well yet. It's just kind of as is. So I'm interested to see how this game turns out. I'm interested to see where it goes from. But I still think there's, it's not something anybody should feel down about or anything in terms of how it comes off.
Ash, do you have any Battlefield thoughts?
No. Yeah, I think we've covered everything. So yeah.
Do you care about it?
Not overly, but I get a feeling we'll end up playing it together. All right.
Because Dylan and Buddy will have it, so you'll be like, I better get it as well.
I can tell you, I'm playing this, and I'm pretty sure unless Buddy's changed his mind when we was playing the beta the other night, he's like, we're at least going to be playing this for at launch. So, yeah, jump on board. At least for that first opening.
Come on, everybody! You can be part of our 140 player squad, right?
It's
four people per squad. I mean,
did you feel I guess one of the questions is for playing on PlayStation. Did you ever feel the impact of crossplay or that kind of ever come into play?
Oh yeah. I made a joke about it. I was like, oh yeah, I keep forgetting that crossplay is a thing. And then as soon as we loaded into a game, the other two people on our team were playing on PC. So on our squad, like it was me, Buddy, and then two other people on PC or whatever. Yeah. So it is a thing. So you can turn it off. So it doesn't matter. Like I turned it off on college. I remember the only time I've had trouble with crossplay in any game so far is I felt like when I was the last Call of Duty that came out, every time I had crossplay enabled, it was taking longer to find a game, and if I turned it off, it was like I was getting into one faster. So
which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So that was obviously a bug there. But otherwise, I don't really have bad experiences with crossplay when it's worked properly. So I mean, if I ever feel like I'm just getting paired with PC people that are just like got an advantage, just fucking turn that shit off. I don't know. All right. You have been playing
Far Cry 6. We managed to get a copy of it on launch day, so managed to dive in. I put about 10 hours in since receiving the copy yesterday as of recording, so that was Friday. It it's more Far Cry. I think that is definitely a game that or a franchise that knows what it is and doesn't ever seem to feel the need to try and push the envelope too much further. In saying that, I think it does a very good job of what it does. I think this one has a lot more kind of focus on more creative ways to play with the more kind of creative weapons. Like I've been playing around with a giant harpoon gun or a nail gun. You get given a flamethrower pretty early on. And kind of your arsenal and your things you have at your disposal very quickly become decently wide and varied. So far, I think it is a little bit clunky to switch between them and to kind of fix up what you're using and how you're playing. But overall, I think the story's pretty good so far. With, as always, a decent amount of seeing kind of the main villain and building that storyline up. There is as always, has become a new staple within the Far Cry series of you having companions of the more the animal variety, which are called amigos. I think many people have seen in the trailer both the main two, which I have currently, which is the crocodile or is Guapo, and the Chorizo, the little sausage dog on wheels. Who both perform very different kind of jobs within it, which is as expected. Guapo just outright kills people, stealth, while Guapo mauls people, while Chorizo's there to distract
heavy attacks
for you. Yeah, exactly. He's got a bazooka and everything attached to him. So no, it is fun. I think 10 hours. It's a massive game. I think I can't remember the last time I saw a map like that big especially even on the Far Cry game. Like, this map is insanely big. There is a wide variety of vehicles to use, from horses to different kind of hot rods. There is even like racing missions in this game. It's full of your Far Cry wackiness of deciding how you want to play the game, either stealthily taking people out and rushing your way around, or going into all-out fights. It's a lot of fun. It's just, I would recommend, if you don't like Far Cry games, you're probably not going to love this one. As it does, more and more of the whole, the map is filled with things to do and checkpoints to,
got some towers to climb,
clearing out. Pardon?
Got some towers to climb, or?
There is a couple of there's like mountains you have to grapple up to find stuff, or there was one I had to do, which was you had to get to the top of a mountain to intercept a signal, and then you had 4 minutes to drive across the island to get to a resource point before the enemy does. Resource management and collecting resources is a big thing in this, in upgrading your guns and getting new weapons. It's very much, some stuff is quite interesting and quite normal for it, but then also at the same time there was one today that was a treasure hunt, but really what it was somebody had locked a mongoose in their shed, and you had to kill the mongoose to get the key to a loot box within the house, and the environmental storytelling through notes and little signs throughout that house were quite funny and quite interesting. I think there's lots to do and lots to explore. The core gameplay, once again, overall story is each area has a different boss or mini boss that you have to kill to revolutionize that area and become a true guerrilla. It's definitely, it's exactly what it says it is on the tin. It doesn't try to be anything else. But at the same time, I feel like it's got a lot more character than past ones. Like, I think Far Cry's tend to have really bland main characters that are kind of your jack of all trades. Yeah, I'm playing as a girl. Because I think that was the marketed and seen as kind of like the primary character that they made the game around, and I think it makes much sense. I'm really enjoying the performance, and Danny actually has a lot of character. It is as much her story as it is yours in this one, so that is definitely something nice to see her interact with everything around the rest of the game.
Well, I hope you don't get too distracted to side missions, and unlike Witcher 3, you can finish an open world game.
Finish it.
Yeah.
I have definitely been like more focused on doing the main stuff, and I think it's a little differently for review that I can't clear everything.
You can clear everything. It's fine.
Okay.
Just
The
clear that
review will be in a month or something. But no, it is. I definitely want to see the story, and the map's insane. I can't. When I actually like zoomed out on the map, like when you get out of the starting island and you zoom out to the rest of it after you finish like the prologue that sets everything up, it's like fucking hell. Like some of the areas, like some of the smaller areas, like where it's subdivided, it's like, dude, that was a whole map in one of the Far Cry games. Like that was the same size as the whole map previously. So
I've heard it was 30 hours. If you want a rough
30 hours would make sense. So yeah, it's I guess depending on what you're trying to do and how
that's not 100%ing it, obviously.
No, that'd be just like storming through.
I don't think that's rushing it. I just think that's like general, just
yes,
a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Yeah. I've read what happened at the end of the game. I don't know if I'm going to say it, obviously, because spoilers. But there was an article going around about something that happens at the end of the game that I was like, I'm just going to read this because I don't care. I was like, I'll be interested to hear what your thoughts are when you get there, because I was like, oh, that's an interesting little tidbit. Throw that one out so we can come back to it. Put that pin on the wall.
Okay.
The only other quick tidbit I'll say is that me, Ash, and Buddy from Radio Watson again, shout out for the fucking 10th million time this podcast. Played a little bit of Back 4 Blood the other night. Last night, yeah.
Last night, yeah.
And then I got tired and went to bed. So it's story of my life at the moment, to be honest. It's good. Like I think the thing that stood out to me, because obviously we mostly just played what we'd already played in the beta. I think we're up to like around where we got up to, or like maybe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did this section. I think the first act we did do.
Yeah.
I think we skipped ahead or whatever for whatever reason.
Yeah.
The matchmaking or whatever.
Yeah, I think we're like maybe we're like a level or two off from what we did in the beta, but we've done like the full first opening section or whatever. And it feels a lot better. I don't know do you think well, you're playing on PC, so I guess it's hard to tell. So we are doing crossplay because we got provided 2 console code, we got provided 2 PlayStation codes and Xbox code. So that's how we're going. And it has crossplay. So that's how we're playing it, via crossplay, and we've had no problems with that. So Ash is playing on his laptop. Me and Buddy are playing on PlayStation.
Buddy and Dylan want trophies.
Yes, correct. That is always going to sort of take precedent. So shout out to, thanks for the codes. It feels good. I actually think it feels a lot better now than playing in the beta. Like it feels really smooth shooting wise, and it even looks pretty good. Even one of the funniest things last night is I think we're like running around shooting stuff or whatever, and Buddy goes, I can't remember exactly what he said first, but he goes, this game actually looks pretty good or something like.
Yeah.
He's like,
he was just genuinely surprised.
It was like a genuine surprise where you could just tell he's like, this game actually looks all right or pretty good or something. He said. So I was like, well, it's not like an indie developer or something. Like it's not meant to be like the best looking game involved, because it's, like for people who don't know, Back 4 Blood is basically it's new Left 4 Dead. It is from the people who made Left 4 Dead. It's the exact same sort of mechanics, and there's different variations of creatures and whatever else that feel like they're Left 4 Dead type creatures and whatever else. You pick a character, you do levels. The idea is you replay them for higher scores, for more gear, unlock stuff. You basically unlock skins, you unlock weapon skins, you unlock new cards, which is the whole really sometimes confusing system for the game, where the game, every time you load into a level, the game randomizes bad cards. So every time you replay a level, it won't feel the same. And the bad cards could be like, oh, more mini bosses, or like these things hurt more, or something like that. And then you build your own deck of cards that you can then draw from to counteract what the game is trying to do to you. So no matter how many times you play the same game, it's always going to feel new and fresh. Well, that's the idea. We haven't really played enough to see if that actually comes to fruition, but that is the general setup for the game. But yeah, from what we've played, I'm enjoying it. I'm keen to obviously play through it and see how it goes, see how we finish it out. But there was several times we were playing it last night, and especially the one time we fucked up on the last level of the first section or whatever, where you had to like you had to carry 2 bombs, and you and Buddy went, but then Buddy picked up 1 bomb and carried it down and like planted it, and then you just, because I stayed on a turret and I was like shooting all these fucking zombies or whatever they're charging, or they're called something else in this or whatever, and then all I hear is, because obviously I can't see what you and Buddy are doing, all I hear is just Buddy go, "Who's got that for bomb?" And then Ash just goes, "Oh, I thought you just needed 1 or something." Then they died. So yeah, had to replay that one after, and then I got overwhelmed by zombies too. So, and there is often quite a lot of shit happening in this game, like especially once you get into smaller areas, and there's like these fucking things just exploding, these big zombie things that just popping out of nowhere. Yeah, they fucking everywhere. Shit everywhere, and the birds still suck. I'm pretty sure I complained about that from when we talked about the beta period. Crows, yeah, I loved the story. The first lot of crows we come across, Dylan's like, don't upset the birds. Don't upset the crows. Yeah. Bad stuff will happen. Mm-hmm. Buddy throws a Molotov cocktail at the birds. In case people don't know, if you upset the birds, they draw a horde of zombies to you. So,
but that's where you burn them, right?
Yeah.
They die quickly and they don't make any noise while burning.
Also, right? I think it was the first time he shot them and then was like, "Oh, I thought you could kill them." And then the second time he threw a Molotov and then he began complaining that it didn't kill them. And I was like, I don't think you're supposed to be able to kill the birds. Their purpose is to serve as a mechanic.
Alarm.
Yeah, alarm.
Yeah. I will say one thing I've read that not so great, but it definitely is a harder thing for many people picking it up, is there is stuff locked off in this game if you want to play it single player. Like, there is unlocks you can't get, as in like cosmetics and different parts of the game you can't actually do if you're playing it by yourself. It doesn't actually let you access that.
Yeah, so if you can build the game has a like, here's a single player deck, here's your solo deck or whatever to build for when you play by yourself. And if you go to it the first time, if you click on solo play, it warns you. It says, you're playing solo play, the game will be changed so it's not as difficult and it's more customized and made for a person playing by themselves. However, you will not unlock this. You will not earn points to basically unlock currency to unlock stuff. You will not do this. You'll not do that. So technically, you can play through and experience the story if that's what you care about. However, you cannot. Maybe they did it because they don't want people to have easy way to farm currency without playing with other players or something like that. But you can't earn the stuff that most people care about, which is going to be the cards for the better cards, the better supply line stuff. Yeah, so the better. Yeah, you can't earn that in solo. So you can't earn new costumes. You can't earn new weapon skins. So new icons and banners. It is a weird choice, but. I mean, you don't have to play with friends. It does have quick play. You can leave your lobby open. It does have bots. You can play online, and it'll put bots for your team. So when the 3 of us were playing, we had bot Mama. We had a bot Mama running around. And then at some point was like, oh, didn't even realize someone had jumped in and took over that character. Like someone had just loaded into our game, on the fly. Didn't even really realize. Bot Mama disappeared. In came whatever the player's name was. I don't remember. But
I mean, they were exactly the same amount of help, so.
Yeah, they were about as good as the bot anyway, so, whatever, fuck them. Anyway, we're going to be playing some more Back 4 Blood, so look forward to that. So, yeah, upcoming reviews for ExplosionNetwork.com, Back 4 Blood, Far Cry 6. Also, something else I'm playing, which I did talk about in Plat, but just my 2 cents in case anyone wants to hear and is interested, because, I don't expect it to be a full crossover audience thing. But I have been playing a little bit Nickelodeon All-Star Battle. What the fuck is it called? It's something like that. The fucking Smash Nickelodeon. Yeah, that one. Smash Battler thing. It's Smash, but with Nintendo characters. It's less complicated than Smash.
Not with Nintendo characters, Nickelodeon characters.
It's Smash with Nickelodeon characters, not Nintendo characters. Yeah.
Because Smash has Nintendo characters.
Smash has Nintendo characters, yeah. So you can play as Cat Dog and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and whatever else. SpongeBob. It is way less complicated than Smash, which means it'll be a negative for Smash Pros. But for someone like me who doesn't care about Smash too much and actually finds it too complicated, it's been a plus because I can wrap my head around it. And I have been enjoying what I've been playing just in the arcade mode and whatever else. Plus, I like a lot of these Nickelodeon characters, so it's just fun to load into a level and be like, I'm going to play as Cat Dog and get into a fight with fucking Nigel Thornberry. Good times, you know what I mean? Like, It's just a bit of fun. So also add that to the list of things that we're currently all playing that you'll see a review for. Maybe some of this shit next week, hopefully. I don't know. See how we go. All right. That'll do it. This week's episode of Arcade Couch. Let us know any comments, questions, or concerns you have about the show. If you retweet this episode 25 times 25 times on Twitter, I'll release the special PAX episode next month. Otherwise, guess what? It's been a while since we announced it at the start of the episode. I'm now dropping a rough release date of December.
But if you retweet 25, you'll get early access.
Yeah, we'll do a pre-release to everybody.
There you go. 25 retweets.
Available.
I'll move it up. It's like for Back 4 Blood, where if you pre-ordered it, you got to play it like 5 days before everyone else.
Or if we get to 100, we'll drop it now.
Yeah, 100.
Or
drop it now.
100, drop it instantly. Or if you just slip Ashley some money for a new TV, he'll like give you a backdoor
accidentally,
deal
like, oh no, the page was there. I accidentally set the date wrong.
Do you work for Hisense or Hitachi?
If you want to send Ashley a TV, then we'll hook you up with a podcast episode.
Apparently, it needs to be 4K. I guess that's a disclaimer.
You can pick the date we release it on if you do that.
There you go. There's all details. I hope
earlier or later.
I know a lot of you had been waiting a long time since we initially teased this podcast, and we said we would give you a rough. 2 hours ago. It was ages ago. When I said I'd give you a rough release date soon. I'm glad y'all hang on. I appreciate y'all for waiting. Thank you so much for that. You can follow us on Twitter by heading to explosionnetwork.com/Twitter. Join our Discord by heading to explosionnetwork.com/Discord. And if you like this episode and thought it was dull and like to support us, help keep those lights on and put money towards thing that isn't actually Ash's TV. Fuck him. He should buy his own fucking TV. You can head to explosionnetwork.com/support.
The TV works fine.
No, it doesn't.
Until next week. Same time. Same couch. Bye. Hey, don't forget you can subscribe to the show wherever you're currently listening, and you can drop a review if you can. Find more great shows like this and more content over at explosionnetwork.com, and please consider supporting us for as little as $1 over on our Ko-fi page by heading to explosionnetwork.com/support. Thanks for listening.